So what are your feelings about the empty nest? You know what? I ain't buying it anymore. Hello, welcome to the Change Guru. This is the place where we get our change on. And today I want to talk about the concept of the empty nest. I've got a question from Joe, and this is what she has to say. Dear Sue, I'm really enjoying your workbooks, podcasts, vlogs. They're helping me to embrace and have a really positive approach to this midlife adventure as I now see it thanks to you. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that. The one thing I'd love to know more about, and which is likely to crop up for me, is how you dealt with or avoided the empty nest syndrome when your adult children left home to start their lives away from home. Joe's got a 15-year-old daughter who's still at home and a 21-year-old son who's still at home. Like you, we're a close family. We all get on really well, which is so cool. So I'd like suggestions for dealing with the adjustment to them moving on, and me and my husband, who also get on great after 30 years together, being back to just a couple. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. I have done a couple videos about this subject, and I will put links to them in the show notes for this episode, but it's an evergreen topic, isn't it? It's something that we constantly want to talk about. But one thing that struck me when I got your note is that the concept of the empty nest sucks. It completely blows. And I almost think that it's words that are very debilitating to women. They, to me, signify, they bring up feelings of loss, of grief, of emptiness, of course. And I was just trying to think, how can we reframe this thing as the empty nest? Because in reality, it's so not true. I've spoken before about how my adult kids have come back, how our relationship together now that they are, you know, young adults, and we kind of relate to each other in a different way, but I have come to learn that my role as a mother is always there. It's never something that's taken away from me, and the nest is as empty as I want to make it. So I really am having a lot of trouble with this word empty nest, and I'm wondering if it's something that we can just ditch altogether. So that is my first thought, is think about the idea of removing that from your vocabulary. Nothing is going to take away your role as a mom. Nothing is going to take away the deepening and the changing and the evolution of this role. And I feel like in more ways than one, this role is really very deep, and we can even be better moms as time goes on. So I don't know about you, but I'm really ready to ditch the words empty nest. Think of this as this is our time to really bring it in the mom department. For myself, when I was at the stage where I still had kids at home, I was going through this stage of massive career transition, leaving my old career to come and do this work, helping women over 40. So my adult kids have watched me go back to school. They've watched me try to start a new business. They've watched me do a lot of things from scratch and really grow myself. And I feel like this has been very, very powerful lesson to pass on to them, because one day they're going to be in their 40s and 50s, and perhaps they will have the same kind of situation where they are kind of at a fork in the road and wondering what to do. And they're going to be able to look back and remember that their mother went and completely changed her life, regardless of what people said about changing their life at a certain age, or, you know, being against starting over, or whatever. They're going to have a strong reference point and role model. So this was actually my chance, although it wasn't really hands-on in the traditional way that we see being a mom. This was my chance to really bring it. And I think that's the thing. We assume that life stops when our kids leave. That's the whole gross empty nest thing. And it's not true. We almost do our adult kids a disservice by buying into that. So this is our time as moms to bring it. I think one thing that really, really helped me in the whole idea of transitioning smoothly when the kids were leaving home was that I had a very strong connection with my inner self. And I know that all sounds new agey and so cliche-ish, But through all my years of practicing yoga and sitting quietly and just spending time alone, I've been able to investigate the concept of self. Now, this is going a little bit deep, so just stick with me. But a lot of us are attached to an identity, you know, and I've said this before, who am I if I'm not a mom? Right? So when you realize that you're a lot of things, you're a mom, you do this, you do that, you do all these different things, you realize that you are always the same, just different things come into your life at different times. And that means that when you go through periods of transition, you still have a steadiness because you realize you are the same. So I think that's the benefit of being able to connect with yourself. And I just even recommend just sitting quietly for just a few minutes every day if you can. Just start slow, just 1 minute every day, just starting slow. And I'll put a link in the show notes for this video of some meditation practices that I do. It's just sitting, it's nothing woo-woo or mystical, it's just literally sitting quietly. And you can just ask yourself the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And when you get really connected with that, you're able to go with the flow of all life's different currents. And so the concept of, feeling it when your kids leave home is actually an awesome spiritual journey. I think anything that brings us kind of that feeling of pain, breathing into it is one way to just start breathing into it and to look and say, something's triggering my body. This is something that has meaning to me. Let me see where I can go with this. Let me see what this reveals to me. It actually can be the start of an awesome adventure for you. So Joe, I hope that gives you some really cool concepts to deal with this. But I don't know about you, but I am ditching empty nest. I'm so over it. I got to think of another word. If you've got an idea for what we can call the empty nest thing, please let me know. If you have any questions that you want me to answer in a video, sign up for my newsletter over at thechangeguru.net. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Until next week, take care and I'll see you soon.